Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about episode 2 of season 4 of Glow Up, aka my villain origin story. So of course, make sure you like, comment and subscribe and keep watching. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Now, of course, we never know where we're going. So on the day that we're starting our industry challenge, we're kind of like driving through London and we're all trying to guess like where we're going. And then, you know, we turn up and we're at the Royal Albert Hall and we're literally all just like gobsmacked because it's just such an iconic venue. And then we walk in and, you know, we're literally on the stage and the judges tell us that we're going to be working for Cirque du Soleil, which is literally like major. Everybody in the whole world knows who that is. Do you know what I mean? They're so iconic. So, you know, to have this opportunity, that was such a big deal, especially for those of us that came to this competition with like no real like experience, especially theatre makeup as well. So we walk in and we meet our models. So I had the lifeguard and usually the models do the makeup themselves, which I think makes it worse because as you're doing their makeup, you kind of know that they know what you're meant to be doing, but they can't help you at all. We start the challenge and I'm literally reading through this booklet of instructions that Maurice had so kindly made up. And I was literally just gonna tackle it as, you know, you're going into a science experiment, what do you do first? You make sure that you know the process. So I read through it, and then by the time I'd finished reading the first time, I looked up and everyone had started. So I was literally like the last person to start because it took me long to read it, but I wanted to know what I was doing, and then I kind of started just doing it step by step. I was so excited because obviously with my model, he had a fake moustache, so that was going to be a challenge because I was working with an adhesive that I'd never used before, so I was intrigued and obviously just making sure that it was straight, but I was glad that I had that element to kind of play around with. So I've kind of gone through it, and honestly that foil, I think we're all a little bit spun. I mean, obviously I can't speak for everyone, but we're all a little bit spun because it's one of those things I feel like you literally get one chance to do it. And it's not until basically you're done with everything else that you try. So I start doing the foil now and I realise I've literally probably got, I think it was 10-15 minutes left, and I hadn't even done the moustache yet because I'd left that until last. There were so many things, like the big statements on my look that needs to be done. So then, yeah. I've done the foil, luckily that worked, and then I did the moustache and that worked. So in my head, I knew I have followed every single step down to a T, so hopefully that's enough to obviously like make sure that my performer ends up going on stage without any touch-ups. So I was really excited and nervous at the same time. So then we have a break and the judges obviously go in and have a look at our work. Now, during like the time that we were there at the Royal Albert Hall, I remember there was a time, me and Adam, we were kind of waiting around and we went and sat on the stairs as you kind of go into the theatre, and we're looking at the people on the stage like rehearsing, and what they were doing was like insane. Like they're so talented and so skilled, and the things that they put their bodies through, like all the flips and tricks and everything, it was just crazy. And we're sat there literally arm in arm and we were just like, oh my god, like this is so amazing, this is so special, like we feel so lucky to be here. And that was really cute. That was probably one of my favourite moments in the whole journey, just because, I don't know, it felt like a little bit of a heart to heart. We were just there in awe of where we were because life had just changed like that from what we're doing back at home to all of a sudden we're at the Royal Albert Hall. Obviously we were like, how can we be here watching them rehearse and we can't actually watch them perform tonight? But it was basically just down to like COVID, because we're in a COVID bubble and us going to watch a show with like thousands of people in the audience just wasn't safe, especially after we'd already done like, you know, isolation. It just wasn't worth it. But we really enjoyed watching the rehearsals anyway, the little sneak peeks that we got, and you know, I'm sure I'll go and watch them one day. So then we go in and we obviously find out whose looks are fit enough to go on stage, who needs touch-ups. So I was so happy. Like everyone that got signed off kind of ran to the middle and we had like this jumping around like group hug sort of thing. Like everyone was just so happy to be signed off, which was great for me because that meant at least I knew that I wasn't going to be in the red chairs going into the next challenge. So now we are at day 2, which is the creative brief. So when we got this brief, straight away I thought the Venus flytrap, because it's something that really intrigued me as a kid. As we all know, I'm just interested in things that nobody else seems to be. But I just found them really fascinating as creatures, and to me that was so weird. Like, the adaptations were weird, which is what made them so wonderful. But anyways, no one seemed to care about that, clearly, apart from myself. But I was really excited to do this look because it had prosthetics in it, and obviously I don't really do prosthetics on a day-to-day basis, and I had 4 pieces of prosthetics that I had to glue on, so I needed to do that first. So I've done all my preparation, and you see me like faffing around with the prosthetics. Literally it took me an hour to get those prosthetics done, so that was literally the longest part of my day, I guess. But I was so glad that I'd done prosthetics, and the reason why I even gave myself the challenge of doing a prosthetics, even though it wasn't required, is because I wanted to start playing around with different materials and push myself a little bit further, and, you know, start learning now, so that whenever it was that we end up doing special effects, I've got an idea of the process, and hopefully this first practice would help me in the second time it comes up. So yeah, now I've got the prosthetics on, and then I start painting, and honestly I think my biggest downfall was just that I didn't use a big enough brush, so it was taking me ages because I was doing such little brush strokes when I could have just gone, you know, wham bam, thank you ma'am, but I didn't. So I was painting, did the hands, like making sure they're all in position and things like that, which is something that I'd practiced at home anyway. So I'd practice on myself, as you've seen on my Instagram, and I'd also practice on Mikkel. So I had an idea of what to do with the hands, but obviously when I'd practiced at home, I wasn't going to waste Mikkel's 3.5 hours and paint his whole body. So the torso area, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and I'll show you a picture. So this is what I was kind of going for, and I was going to draw more of them to kind of cover all of it. But at the time that I got to like belly button-ish, that's when they did like a time call out, and I was running out of time, and I needed to go in and add something to the look. So I hadn't done any sort of like shadows, any sort of depth, any highlighting, nothing. So I quickly grabbed like my eyeshadow palette, and I was just going in on the side of the stem, just trying to make them look a bit darker. Then I was using like a bit of a shimmery shadow to make the other side look like lighter. So I was trying to do this because I thought, I don't want it to be completely flat, even if I can't do the bottom. Let me try and do as much as I can detail-wise on the bits that are painted. So I basically had to sacrifice everything else. And you saw me having that conversation anyway with my model, because when I was trying to decide, like, shall I stop now and move on to something else, I was thinking, like, is this really gonna be a massive deal if I don't do it all the way, or does this kind of warrant the whole torso area? So that's the decision that I had to make, and you know, I don't even regret it. I'm really happy with how it looked. It's a shame that it didn't go all the way down, but I think my model looks sick, and I would do it again. And if I had more time, I would do it again with a different adhesive, which would mean it wouldn't take me an hour to stick on those prosthetics, and then I could have done more on the belly. Now, I'll tell you what, obviously at this point, I have an idea that I'm gonna be in the face-off, because I just felt like, you know, not finishing on glove is like one of the worst mistakes that you can do, and I thought I'd be able to get away with it, but I didn't. So it was more of a matter of who was I going to be up against. Now, I'm not gonna lie, and this is just my opinion, but I did not think that I was going to be in the face with Adam, because I really liked Adam's look, and the details that he had, like even in like the patches, you could see the skin, like he'd done all this like shadows and highlight and the 3D of the mask. Like there was a lot of detail in the painting that he did. So I just didn't expect him to be in the face-off with me, which was really sad. Unfortunately for me and for Adam, we obviously had to go against each other, and you know, going against your friend in the house is really difficult, because even though it's only like episode 2, you built quite good relationships, especially because Adam was in my room as well. So that was weird. It was just a weird situation, and I just thought to myself, as soon as I heard my name, I just thought to myself, that's it. Rachel's gone. Like, I am now Tyson Fury. I have to be unbeatable. I'm going into a boxing ring right now and I'm gonna have to fight. That's how I felt. So any relationship, any emotion that I felt about what was about to happen was gone. I was just so laser focused, and I don't even care. No matter who it was that I was going into that face off with, they were going home. Because there was just no way that I was not coming back. So we walk into the room now, me, Adam and Maya, and kind of walk up to the chairs, and the twins are there, and the judges explain what we had to do. I mean, a mermaid lip is so obscure, and I like to think that I spend a lot of time on social media, but I haven't seen this. So if you guys have seen the mermaid lip trending, please let me know, because I have not seen it. But you know, we had a rough idea of what we had to do, and what's actually really funny is when you walk into the face off, it's not like you have the whole beauty bar to choose from, so there's not really too much choice, which helps because then you won't over confuse yourself and be overwhelmed by materials. So you kind of just use whatever you get your hands on first. So quickly picked up these colours and started doing the liner, and then I just knew in my head there has to be some sort of ombre, there has to be some sort of shimmer. So I just did, you know, light to dark in the in-between colour that was like here. I just mixed the two shades together to get the kind of lilac-y it looks when it was blended. So it was kind of pink, lilac, blue. And then in the last like few minutes, I was just putting on like the shimmery glitter. Of course, making sure that the glitter doesn't go everywhere. Like, ugh, there's just a lot. There was a lot happening. But either way, I knew that what I produced was gonna have to keep my ass in the competition. So I did that, and pat on the back to me. 1 star. Don't recommend it to anyone. Don't go there. Don't do that. But yeah, I was just really happy, obviously, when they said that I was safe. Sad to see Adam go. I think that's when it hit me that, okay, this is actually your mate. When they said that Adam was going, I was like, oh my god, everything just came rushing back, all the emotions were back. I know Adam's gonna do amazing because he's so good at what he does, and anybody would be lucky to have him as a makeup artist. So I can't wait to see kind of what he does in the future. As you saw, when I walked into the room, no one was happy to see me. It was only Mikkel and Nancy that got up from their seats. And I would just like to say that moment there was a turning point, because the face-off was hard enough, and in my head I was like, yeah, you can't find yourself here again. But that solidified it. I didn't come into this competition to make friends. I came to work and to show myself as a makeup artist. And you know, walking into that room and realizing that it's not a friend competition. This is literally you yourself, you yourself and I. Me, myself and that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. That was it. That was the moment. But yeah, we moved. Now, unlike episode 1, when we got back home, there was absolutely no partying. Like, those kumbaya days were gone. So there really isn't much to show you from that night. But I will tell you, one thing that was happening since we moved into the house was basically we did like a group communal shop each week. So everything in the kitchen, you could just basically make yourself food whenever you're hungry, which just made things really easy. But I feel like after a long day of filming, coming home and then having to think about cooking like a proper dinner, it's a bit long. And I was doing this every single day because it probably would have been easier to share the cooking, but I'm not really someone that eats other people's food like that, so I was happier to kind of do it on my own. Now, finally, we found someone to do us a favour. Luckily, Mikkel's from London, and he had a friend that was able to buy us a box of Indomie and deliver it to the house. And you know, obviously this was for us. This was for me and Mikkel and Nancy, and we didn't really want to store it in the kitchen. This is so funny, but I'm so serious because I do not play about my food, clearly. So we didn't want to store it in the kitchen, we had to find somewhere else to keep it. So I will leave you with this little clip of our Indomie station. Okay guys, so we finished filming episode 2 yesterday and we are off today and tomorrow. Just in the wardrobe, but how hilarious is this? Look. Tell me you're sharing a room with Africans without telling me you're sharing a room with Africans. This is the wardrobe. I'm actually so dead.